Dr. H. Wainhouse is the Distinguished Research Professor of Theology, Law, Culture, and Archaeology at Faith International University and Seminary in Tacoma, Washington. He and his wife, Irina, have taught and directed many tours in the Mediterranean and Middle East, including Israel, Greece, Egypt, Jordan, Italy, and Turkey, particularly with the Biblical Archaeological Society. Dr. House has taught biblical and theological studies at several universities and seminaries during a teaching career of over 50 years and has written 150 articles and 50 books, including the Evangelical Dictionary of World Religions, The Jesus Who Never Lived, Exposing False Christs and Finding the Real Jesus, the Zondervan Handbook of Biblical Archaeology, Israel, the Land and the People, an Evangelical Affirmation of God's Promises. Editor of the Nelson NKJV Study Bible and Nelson New Illustrated Bible Commentary. Dr. House is the general editor of the Evangelical Exegetical Commentary Series, 44 volumes, with Logos, Faith Life. It is the knowledge amassed from these experiences, along with the assistance of biblical scholars at a variety of universities and seminaries throughout the world, that provides the information contained in his latest project, the House Visual Study Bible Online. Thank you for joining Archaeology in the Lands of the Bible with Dr. H. Wainhouse.
And welcome, welcome, welcome. Dr. House is in the house. Dr. Williams is in the house. Pastor Faber is in the house. We are joined by everybody today. So
absolutely
glad to have you. Dr. House, we are starting in Delphi. By the way, how was your journey to Turkey?
Pretty good. There's always things that you would prefer to be better, but I did find some information from this trip to see what's going on in that part of the world over against what it was, let's say, 20 years ago. And a lot of changes are going on. And if you want to discuss that, we could. Of course, we're not really talking about Turkey this week.
Nope.
We're going to go back and.
But we do have a turkey talking this week.
Somewhere. Yeah. Well, anyway, the point of it is that, we're dealing with Paul and his journeys, and we've covered much of that in Turkey. That was formerly Asia Minor. And right. So a place that was the initial growth place for Christianity. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you want to talk about Christianity, I mean, there is some growth, obviously, in the beginnings with Israel and a little bit in Syria, but really where things took place were in Asia Minor, and we covered much of that. There may be a couple of things we may pull out of that and maybe do in the future show. I'm working on trying to do a translation of something that we found on the side of the theater at Miletus that should be interesting on the question of angels, but I'm not ready for that yet. But we'll be going into Delphi and all the way up into what would be called, Philippi, and over to the somewhat the travel over to Istanbul, as we think of that today, and that's called Thrace as you move across. So we'll go and look at all those things, but I'm trying to decide where we might go next, and we could sort of talk about that, see what you would have the most interest in. There's a lot of places to go to that even people who go to regular tours they never see. And they are fascinating places to examine. So we'll look at that. By the way, I didn't shave today. I just realized that.
You look wonderful.
Well, I don't usually look at myself. And so I looked at it and said, who's that guy with the beard?
Yeah, I know.
All righty. Are we ready to start with the slides?
If you got the slides, I've got the thoughts.
All right. There you go.
Well, listen, we were in southern Achaia. I think you know that term by now. That largely refers to what we think of as Greece today, from the bottom all the way up to the point of where even we have the thinking in, let's say, Thessalonica, that area. But let's just go ahead and start from that and head up. Delphi is an interesting place. It's not a large area like we would think of in some other places, but it's important in reference to Corinth. And if you haven't seen my article on that question, I did an article several years ago called Tongues and the Mystery Religions of Corinth.
Mm.
But really, in saying that, you have to also include Delphi, because there was an extension there of the religion of the god Apollo. Now, anybody know anything about Apollo? But that we're not talking about the that was considered what, a spaceship that we had.
Uh-huh.
The Apollo astronauts.
Yeah, but who was Apollo the god? Anybody know?
He was the god of the sun, of healing, of music, of prophecy, and a bunch of other.
Archery. Yeah.
If anybody was going to say it, it would be you. You do great.
Right.
I think she spends time reading during the week. So
Probably.
yeah. So Apollo was a god of wisdom. He was a god of revelation. He was had a lot of features about him, his person. Obviously we're talking about in a fictional sense here. I don't think that God ever existed. But in Delphi was a part of his religion, and we think of the Oracle of
Delphi.
And so we're going to say some things about that, because in archaeology, some things were found there. And it's sort of interesting how the ancient world accepted so many of these gods and goddesses, that it changed, by the way. In a lot of places, belief in the deities of Greece and Rome began to sort of go out the window. This occurred about the time of a guy by the name of Philo. Anybody know who Philo was?
And Philo was his name, or is that? Oh, that's Fido. Sorry. Wrong dude. Philo or Philo? Philo. Let me see.
I'm going to actually have to start teaching you if you don't start talking.
Wasn't he a Roman historian?
Good guess, but no. Let's put it this way: he was a Jew. He lived in a place called Alexandria, Egypt.
Yeah, he died around 45.
And I had to read his works in Greek.
Oh boy. Was he that Jewish philosopher guy?
Yes, he was a Jewish philosopher, very, very significant in the neoclassical Renaissance.
Woohoo.
That occurred in the 1st century, in which the Greeks began to, in Athens and places like that, began to question the gods and goddesses as actually being real. I mean, so people began to sort of discount that and view those as actually just simply stories that were there for the purpose of providing understanding on certain classical ideas. So pretty well, by the time the beginning of the 1st century takes place, the ancient Greeks really sort of went on the limb at that point. But anyway, we are going to look at the idea of what happened, though. People still held to religious views, and even if they considered some of the ancient gods to be questionable. And so what you find in Corinth was a belief in the religion of Apollo, but also another god who came from the area of the ancient Near East and moved over to Greece in the stories of the Greeks. Anybody know?
Another god? There's so many of them.
Yeah, another god. The Latin god was called Bacchus.
Ooh.
Was that Dionysius in the Greek?
Yeah. And came over in Greek. So the old ancient story on that is that Bacchus, or Dionysius, he tired of the beer in the Far East. He said he called them the froth blowers. So he became disenchanted with the froth blowers of the Near East and came to the land of wine.
Ooh.
And so it was a move because of his taste toward wine.
Interesting.
But he's a god also was very much into ecstaticism. And so you find that in Corinth, there was a ecstatic movement going on in the first century. So when you read 1 Corinthians, you will see that some of the problems that were encountered in 1 Corinthians came from this focus on ecstatic religion. Now, that's only one facet, but that is a religion of Apollo, Dionysius, and a combination. And the article I wrote several years ago about that, trying to explain why Paul was having trouble with the ecstatic movements inside the church at Corinth. And so that becomes important but the religion of Delphi is the same thing. And that's where you had the oracle that had ecstatic actions too. We're going to look at Delphi in a moment. And the belief of Apollo that functioned at Delphi was that the goddess was underneath they've actually found this, but there was a floor, and then she was underneath it, and there was a cave, and you had a prophet there that would be there for the purpose of people coming to visit and to receive information from the oracle at Delphi about what to do in life, what to do in a battle, what job to take, whatever issue you had. The oracle was told, and here's the way they did it. When you read back on it, a person would come to the prophet. The prophet then would talk through a hole in the wall, and the oracle would be there listening to it. She sat on a platform, which they, by the way, have now found out had a portion of it below her that actually had fumes that came up.
Oh boy!
Inspired her. So the prophet would then ask the question that the person coming asked, what about this or what about that? And then he would ask the oracle. The oracle would start speaking in tongues. And then the prophet would interpret that to the person who came, and of course then collect the necessary funds to support their ministry.
Of course. Yeah.
Now, is Benny Hinn an ancestor of theirs or something?
Yeah.
I'm not going to say whom, but some would definitely fit this.
Yeah. Those are precursors to our current day fortune tellers. Church or non-church included.
Hey, it's the same old spirit, exactly.
It is, yeah. It's just packaged differently.
Well, I grew up a Pentecostal, and I have appreciation for portions of my upbringing. And my parents were godly people; they loved the Lord, and I've had lots of friends over the years. I moved away from some aspects of that religious view. But there's certainly nothing lacking in sincerity in what I came up in.
Right.
We didn't view those as charlatans or anything. But this kind of religion you see developed in Corinth, where people were ecstatic. They couldn't contain themselves. They couldn't control themselves. Right. You catch that when you read 1 Corinthians?
Sure.
Paul had a lid on them.
Oh, yeah.
Said, you can't have but 2 or 3 who do this, and you can't have it, and you have one who interprets, and he puts a list of rules to try to keep intact what was going on. But he also in chapter 12, if you read it carefully, he uses 2 different terms. One is the word pneumatikos, and the other is charismatos. Now you've heard the word charisma,
Right? Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And you probably heard the word pneumata. And so what you had this issue of the the work of the charisma in the church and the work of the spiritual ones in the church. And Paul actually put down the pneumatica viewpoint. And he takes the next several verses after 1 Corinthians 1 through 3, I believe it is. It may be 1 and 2, but I'd have to look. But he takes it and he develops the true gifts of the Spirit in contrast to the false expressions that came out of pneumatic religion, which we would understand to be probably Dionysianism and the forms that we see at Delphi.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
that's interesting.
So Delphi is interesting. We'll look at it. They've discovered the place of Apollo, and there's some important things there at Delphi too. You had a man by the name of Gallo. Anybody know the name Gallo?
No.
Gallo. No.
You ever heard of the? Okay, nobody's going to come up with it. You have a judgment seat that occurred at Corinth, a political judgment seat, and you had people who ruled and had judgment at the seat that was called the Bema seat. Have you ever heard of the Bema seat before?
Certainly, yeah, of course.
Yes.
Yeah, we have the Bema seat in reference to the Bema seat of Christ,
Revelation, yeah.
place of judgment. And that Bema seat, I think when I showed you stuff at Corinth, if you'll think back on it, you had a road, which was one of the big Roman roads, as it came into Corinth, and it actually sort of, as it came in, the Bema seat was right in front of it.
Right.
Where
We
you
saw that.
brought judgments against people. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Very interesting.
you'll find that there. Well, let's. I think we've sort of given you some information. I don't know if you have any more you want there, but there. This is a look down. Delphi, I'm not sure how far it is from Corinth. It's just a few miles. A lot of people skip this in trips to Corinth, but it's really an important place to go to. That's just looking down. You can't see much here, and I don't think I can point it out to you. But right there, yes, whoever's, is that you, Don, doing that?
That's me. I'm moving that around.
Okay. Now, if you go right, to the right, to the right, to the right, go down, 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 down.
That white, those rooms there?
There's the word down goes down. Go down.
Down this way.
Yeah, too far.
That's two down.
Sort of in the middle down.
Two down.
Go
Sort
where
of
you
in the
see
middle.
Pillars,
Right.
Don. The
Go
pillars.
to the right. Go to the right.
To the
white-
right. Oh, okay. I got you. I see him now.
You're
Here.
disappearing. There we are. See
There
that?
it is.
Now we got it. All right. Now we're going to look at these a little bit bigger in a minute.
Ah.
Next
So-
slide, please.
Next slide. Okay.
Now, this is looking at the same area, but now we're looking lower. And this is the Temple of Apollo there. And what they found underneath that was a structure that a person actually would have been sitting on underneath. And they found a location for gaseous fumes that came up there. She probably just was on a high most of the time.
Pretty sure.
If you're on a good high, you can tell a good story.
That seems to be the case.
Not that I've experienced that.
No.
No, but so if you go in to ask questions and she goes, "Whoa, cool, man,"
Yeah,
then you know you're in a good place, right? Okay.
that's right. I see pretty colors.
But you know, the Temple of Apollo would have been a very important temple. You know, you had the Temple of Apollo at Corinth too. Remember that?
That's right.
Okay.
Yes. Right.
These are very often the gods had several locations they worshipped. And I suppose the reason for that, the gods tended to move around a lot.
Yeah.
So they like had a summer home and a winter home and a vacation home.
Yeah. And a lake house and all that.
Yeah, when you're on vacation, you had to have a place to go.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what you have. All right.
Next.
Any questions at this point? Aha, better view.
Ooh, that's pretty. It's pretty expensive.
These, you have to realize that at the time of the original creation of these temples, they were somewhat beautiful at the time.
Sure. I think there's a question. Is that Iftikhar? You have a question?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, I have studied the Delphi method. Do you know about that? Because I studied in operations management. So, is there any kind of relation with this Delphi? Delphi method, basically, what I have studied, that is a process mostly used in research and economics that aims to collect opinion. So, is there any kind of relation with this Delphi?
I can't say that I understood all that. There was a lot of reverberation that I was hearing on the talking. So, can anybody give me that question?
Yeah, I think he's asking about something called the Delphi method.
Yeah,
I don't know about that. If there's a Delphi method, method of what? In what area?
This method is to collect the research opinion.
Oh, like opinions from different people or different, like it goes out.
Exactly. Right.
So, well, the only thing at Delphi, you did have. It was a place that was. Most of the temples at the time, they were money makers. Mm-hmm. Whether you're talking about the temple of Aphrodite or the temple of Apollo, people came and worshipped and paid their money, so to speak.
Yeah,
and nothing wrong about Obviously, we collect money in churches too for the ministry. We don't view what they did very ministerial. I'm being very kind about that, but
yes,
the fact is, the prophet who stood there, or priest, whatever he would have been called. Mm-hmm. I've seen both, but who would have actually? A guy would come in and says, well, a general would come in and say, I'm going to war. Will I win the battle? And the guy would take money and give him guidance from the oracle mm-hmm. and tell him whether he's going to win or not. And of course, probably the more that money he paid, he was going to win more.
Right. Now, the Delphi method, just to kind of clear up the question, is not actually related to Delphi.
Right.
It's a communication technique that uses a panel of experts to make anonymous predictions, and then they revise them based on the feedback they get.
Oh, I see. So they probably took the name as a kind of.
They took the name from Delphi, right?
I have never heard that before. I guess that's an area I'm not interested in. But
if I could add something there, Dr. House, but yeah, it is related in that seeking this opinion, and they would go, and the oracle at Delphi would be in a trance state. This is what I had studied in high school, actually. Go into a trance and give this nebulous answer that could be an either or kind of a hedge bet answer. Am I going to win the battle or not? And it would be you'll win it going up, but not coming down. Or I'm just making up something. It was nonsense, kind of like reading a horoscope today.
Right.
Like a Ouija board?
Very vague.
You ever seen a Ouija board?
Well, yeah, but it wasn't really a Ouija board. It was someone in this trance. I always thought the oracle was a woman. She was in a trance, and she would be petitioned to give her opinion. Right. And then she would give this opinion that really you could read it either way. And so that ended up giving credence. They thought, well, she was right in what she said, so we'll go and pay more money and get an opinion on the next battle.
Well, the oracle at Delphi was a woman.
Right.
And she did give her view, but the view came from an ecstatic experience.
Correct. In a trance.
The priest or prophet that was there, he would actually give guidance to the person who came in. But think on this just a moment.
Interesting.
You said, yes, you're going to win the battle, 50,000 drachma, thank you. And if the guy doesn't win the battle, you lose nothing. And
that's true.
And if he wins the battle,
he'll come back.
And you're happy. Everybody feels good.
But they would say it in ways, Dr. House, where the oracle couldn't be wrong. I mean, it would be
sure.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you come in, you give him the answer he needs.
Well, I mean, then though there would have been feedback. They said, "Don't bother and going." Said I was going to win, and in fact, I lost. So I just remember there was these humorous answers that they were giving that could be read both ways. That's all.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, but I still think it's not a problem if a person comes in and says, I'm going into a war and who's going to win. You're probably not going to be coming back.
Because if you lose, you're dead.
Get a refund, on your money.
Right. Usually that would be the case.
And if he wins, he's happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like heads I win, tails you lose. Same kind of.
There's a good picture. But
there you go.
see, but that's the reason I mentioned the Ouija board, because this is how some people did in high school.
Right.
Our teacher in psychology class, she brought in a Ouija board for the students to play with.
Huh.
And the thing you would do, though, the idea is that without touching the Ouija board, you could actually move the items that gave you answers. And we looked at that. So, but this right here, that oracle, just go ahead and turn back to that.
You can see the fumes on there coming out. Huh?
You can see this, they have discovered there was actually some pocket underneath
Yeah.
that provided some kind of
Intoxication.
yeah, you were on a high. Intoxication sounds too much more like drinking, but the whole idea, you were under a state of couldn't control yourself when you gave all your statements. I don't know what the oracle thought herself, or whether she even recognized what she did, because she was basically out of it.
Right.
Process. So anyway, this became part of the religion of Apollo. But the point that I was making before, though, around the Corinthian church, Greek religion at this juncture, in certain contexts, with certain deities, was really an ecstatic religion. If you look at Dionysian thought, women oftentimes, and I say women because it was more a feminine kind of religion than the others, and that they would actually let their hair down. They would be involved in all sorts of crazy dancing and jumping around and letting it all out. Just totally go to another thought pattern altogether. It was a strange religion, and when you read 1 Corinthians and you realize that, it makes a lot of sense. Make a lot of things make more clear. Sure. Because Paul had to try to slow them down, and we discover now in Corinth probably where the synagogue was, and the church at that juncture would have been right next to it. If you, in other words, they would have been not necessarily connected as buildings, but it was a very close relationship, because Paul talked about somebody might come by and you guys are acting really strange. And so that's different from the synagogue, probably, who would have. Remember, Paul always went to the Jewish synagogue. Right. And he did that in Asia. He did that in Greece. And people would, if they happened to come on it, it is not talking about people who actually were necessarily inside the church building, as it were, but who frequented upon it. And they look in and they say, you're acting, you say, if they come in and see how you're acting, they're going to think you're crazy. Read the text. Sure. If they come in, they're going to think you're a bunch of real weirdos. Yep. He said, on the other hand, if you are speaking intelligently, they'll think you're really pretty right on, and you have something to say. And I tell you, having grown up in this, a lot of things I saw were really weird.
Oh, yeah. So here's what he says in 1 Corinthians 14:23. If therefore the whole church comes together and all speak in tongues, and outsiders or unbelievers enter, will they not say that you are out of your minds?
I rest my case. Right. Okay, anything else to go here? We've said some things about Delphi. There are other things at Delphi. I'm not sure if the photos had that, but do I have the racetrack on there?
I couldn't tell you that.
Move us ahead. There's a temple of Athena at Delphi. By the way, who was Athena?
Another goddess or a goddess.
The
Go.
goddess of wisdom and battle
There you go.
Okay,
and reading.
god of wisdom. That's true. This is the same goddess, theoretically, that was at Athens,
Mhm.
Diana.
as is here. Yes.
Mhm.
So you had the goddess Athena and Diana they had two different ways in which they express themselves. One is wisdom, somewhat like Apollo, and also is a goddess who is depicted sometimes as a god of the hunt.
Mhm.
And so not all the gods, were just one thing. They were different things.
Right.
So that's looking from another angle of the ruins of the temple.
I find this construction fascinating. I like to see it up close to see what's really going on.
When you look in there, you don't really see much. There would probably, that's probably not what the floor was per se. It was probably,
No, that would be a structure the floor was probably laid on.
yeah, right. The floor would be on top of that. And they did find some digging underneath that would have gone deeper.
Mm-hmm. It's a support system.
Yeah. You know what is in front of that, don't you? That's called a theater.
Yes, we have seen one or two of those in our travels lately.
That's right.
What you will find in the Greek world and the Roman world too is that they did enjoy theaters. They loved to watch plays. They loved to watch performances of various sorts. What is interesting for our day is that in our day, if you're on the acting circuit, you become wealthy, right?
Mm-hmm.
We think of actors as being wealthy because people pay them a lot of money to do that.
Mm-hmm.
In the days of the New Testament, usually slaves are the ones who did the performances. So they didn't make a lot of money, but they were the performers. Now stay where you are. Go back.
For this one?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Back to the theater.
See if you remember that how can you tell the difference between a Greek theater and a Roman theater?
One is by the mountains, usually.
One is built into
the mountain, yeah.
A curvature of the mountain.
Right. The other one is not.
The Roman, they actually, it exists independently of the structure of the earth.
Interesting.
Now, for example, if you go to Caesarea Maritima, or several others are out, but if Caesarea Maritima, that means the one that's the
water, right?
Right there by the water. Maritima is by the sea. You'll find a Roman theater because it's built by Herod the Great.
Mm-hmm.
It's built on a structure underneath it. It's independent of any kind of other physical structure.
Right.
So that's the distinction between the two.
Yeah.
By the way, on this trip, we went to the 7 churches and some other things, but that I just got back on. But the work at the 7 churches, there's still a lot of work going on in reference to unearthing Laodicea, and they're finding more stuff.
Cool.
That's very interesting. It's becoming, matter of fact, Laodicea today, we're not going to talk about that much tonight, but I'm saying Laodicea today is far more developed. And it seems even bigger than the site of Ephesus.
Oh.
And Ephesus has always been the star of the churches in Asia. And now Laodicea, it seems to be a bigger spread and more information.
Wow.
That one finds and one goes to Ephesus. That's really quite interesting.
Very interesting.
Also went to Colossae, and they're just now beginning archaeology at Colossae. That's interesting also.
There too, huh?
Yeah. We'll talk about those later sometime.
Hey, a quick question for you. I'm not sure if you know this, but or not. So as far as the actors, since they were slaves, did they have any incentive, like where they told if you act really good and you do this for a period of time, we'll let you go, or you're going to pay your debt, or depending, or were they just all like slaves from conquered people?
Yeah. There's a little mixture on the slavery in the ancient world,
Mm-hmm.
but a slave could earn their freedom in certain contexts.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
So I'm not sure if that was definitely set up with a local acting career or not.
And the local guild. Yeah. Well,
But you did have slaves that actually taught. Like Greek slaves are a good example of this.
Right. Okay.
The Greeks were very educated.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they would be tutors and things of that sort.
Okay.
So it's possible, I suppose, that someone would have a bond servanthood and so that they could maybe pay and buy their freedom. So
yeah, because I'm thinking if you're gonna act and you're not really happy, because if you like, I ain't doing this, obviously there had to be probably punishment if they didn't do well, I would assume.
Yeah.
But
I suspect acting in the theater though was a much better opportunity as a slave than working in the salt mines.
Right, so they probably were okay with that.
You'd always prefer acting to salt mines.
Yeah. I always have, yeah.
Oh yeah. There you go. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Okay. Well, let's keep moving then. Okay, this is a nice little picture. This is done by a friend, and he gave me the rights to all these, but
nice.
This is a good layout of Delphi that would have existed at this time. So as what you were seeing is only a sort of how some of it's put together. So it was, you had at one time, it was a very pleasant place to visit, probably. And it's high in the mountains. It would have been an interesting place. And this is just below. If you actually climb the mountain there above Delphi, which is it's already a mountain, but there's a higher area of a mountain, you'll actually come to the place where they did Olympian works, where people ran for for entertainment. The idea of being in sports and things of that sort have always been important to people.
Sure.
There are people who will in the time of Olympic sports or any other time, you can't get them away from a TV.
Right.
So it seems to be an enamored, people are enamored by all that.
It's captivating.
I used to watch the Dallas Cowboys one time, and I'd watch it occasionally. But when they started wanting more money, I thought I'm out of here.
Yes, sir.
But anyway, now here's what I was talking about there.
Oh yeah.
This is Delphi. Now I'll show you something here. This you can probably figure this out here, that this was a little bit larger as far as height at one time. See those seats that go around?
Yeah, bleachers.
And those I'm sure at one time this was probably a larger section than it looks like here. You can see it at partly if you take a look at it, and you go start at the end at the far left. That's where you could enter and not. But then the chairs, they sort of go around, and then you about halfway you start seeing they get higher up. So people had to have a place to sit, and you would have races that would go on in these places. Remember I said in the Olympiad of ancient Greece and Rome, only had one winner to a race. We think about, getting first place, second place, third place, fourth place. I showed up anyway, place.
Yeah.
And some point, but didn't you run track in high school? I mean, you got ribbons if you came to track.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So they would do races, but they were very unique. I love this passage when you preach, if you ever preach this, and you have both Corinthians and Timothy, where Paul says we're all in a race.
Mm-hmm.
But when I preach that, I say the thing differently is that we are not in a race with anyone else. We're in a race with ourselves, because we have the Lord in front of us, and we're trying to live a life that's a race that's recognized by God for a wreath, something that you receive. But and Paul says in the Greek races, he says one runs that he might receive the prize. There was only one prize.
That's right.
If you had 10 runners and only one wins, so it's a quite a different kind of place. But see how long this is? That would have been a race that would have gone inside that particular location there. Anyway, that's on the top of you actually have to climb the hill above Delphi there, where the temple is, to get to this.
Cool.
That's a far shot. That's just another indication. We did that a while ago. Now, for all of you Greek experts, what does this say?
So I can't see.
It's Greek to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
I would expect that from you. Okay.
From you. It's
Bologna sandwich. It says bologna sandwich.
That's right. There you go.
I know a lot of you are going to have remedial training coming up.
Yeah.
It says Gallio.
Gallio, thank you, scholar.
There you go. You can
Gallio. I put it in little sort of
I
block.
know.
Pay attention. And this is Gallio. That is a.
It was that capital gamma is what threw me off there. I couldn't figure that out. It's Gallio. It looked at an F. It's Gallio.
Oh, I see.
I was being thrown off by the L's because they look like A's. I couldn't tell.
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Hard to tell.
Those are L's.
End is an omega. Egg starts here and goes up and goes down again.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, we found something recently. We were at the theater. I knew it was there, but I hadn't explored it much. We found on this theater side of the theater at Miletus a interesting writing about the angels guarding the city of Miletus. And we tried to work on translating it. It was somewhat difficult. And I brought back some pictures of it to be able to spend some time looking through it. So hopefully we'll have something in the future on that. Miletus is a really interesting place. But you can find some other Greek there if you look real carefully. Go down 1, 2, 3 entire rows. Go 1, 2, 3. Now let's see if anybody can read that. See you got that on the tau. That's the tau.
Oh, yeah, tau, and then you
have hold on, you're going past it.
What's that?
There, you keep passing it.
Oh, the T.
The T.
Yeah, T is tau.
Okay.
Okay, and then next to it is a and then next is an iota,
and then a sigma,
and then a sigma, which means twice, and it means usually it's a form like an article that refers to the something another. It sort of modifies something that follows. And so you sort of have to go through here and look at these, and you gradually can figure out what they say. Okay.
Very good.
Map of Achaia. Now, okay, here we are. We've been look at Corinth to the left here, and area from the very bottom. Guess what breakdown of the Greek culture in the earliest centuries? You had the idea of Sparta,
Mm-hmm.
and you had basically Athens,
Right.
the Athenians and the Spartans. And what is the difference between the Athenians and the Spartans?
Spartans were fierce.
Spartans are fighters.
The Athenians were thinkers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Spartans are known for their fighting power. I mean,
Yeah.
my goodness, in Sparta, when you're about 1 year old, they give you a sword and start teaching you to use it.
Right.
Yep.
Awesome.
I'm being a little facetious, but I am not entirely facetious. At very early ages, they started teaching young men,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes in certain circles, young women.
They were a warfare culture.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what they did. And anybody heard of the you're going to have to help me on this. My mind is having a hard time bringing it up. You had the 99 or something like
The
that.
300.
The 300.
The 300.
Yeah, maybe it was 300. You had a group of people that they held the spot against the Persians.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you only had 300 Spartans
More or less. Yeah.
against about 1 million soldiers.
Yep.
It's the Battle of Thermopylae.
Yeah, that
that's
one.
what I was trying to think of, and I could not come up with it. Thank you very much.
Yes.
No problem.
Yeah, and when you look at Thermopylae, it had a how do they maintain and ward off 1 million Persian soldiers as they waited for backups from the Greek ships and warriors?
They got a little gap. It was a little bitty gap they got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
funneled them.
At a pinch point there.
That's right. They funneled them and they guarded that.
I saw a movie on that one time. Anybody see that?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. Yeah.
Sure.
Very good.
Very fascinating. And this is real life. I mean, they stood there because they were there in strength and had narrow, so you weren't having to fight everybody at once.
Right.
You didn't have to fight all 1 million.
Right. Very
All you
strategic.
had to do is fight the ones in front of you.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I think it was Xerxes.
And how-
I suspect the movie was a little over dramatized, but I thought it was good.
Yeah, but
no, sure.
it was still exciting.
I
Almost
liked
as
it.
if we weren't there.
I liked
But
it a
there's-
lot. But I
there's a
realized it
certain
wasn't a documentary.
Yeah.
There's a certain rationale to this, though,
Yeah.
because if you have phenomenal warriors and you have a small width,
Right.
you really are just fighting the soldiers in front of you.
Yeah,
Right.
well, it was very strategic. Yeah.
Whole army, you're fighting just them.
Right.
And they were able to hold them off for a long time.
Yeah,
But
They had
anyway,
a good strategy.
very much.
it's a good strategy. And if you have a desperate strategy, that's even better
Yeah,
because
sure.
the other options were not good.
No.
So that's very significant.
Yeah.
Those are the Spartans. And so that's down at the bottom there.
Mm-hmm.
Go up a little north now,
North.
and so you'll see Corinth.
Corinth is
And
straight
then-
up. Yeah.
Go to Corinth, go up there a
Corinth
little
is
bit.
here.
Now, right here, hold your hand there.
Uh-huh.
If you look on the map, you'll understand something. Is that where you see Corinth in the very NTH, there is another little block of land. Can you see that? Just a little
that's
piece of
going-
land.
that
That's where they
connection
dug. That's dug
Oh.
a canal,
That's the
and it
isthmus.
started in the days of
there? Mhm.
the
Who's
canal.
this?
Is that what
Yeah.
I'm looking for right there?
It was down right about there. Yes,
Okay.
they actually dug a canal, but it was not finished until actually in the modern era.
Hmm.
Because it was such an enormous project to get through, and the stone was so difficult. They just didn't have the technology at the time to do it. But if you go there and look now, you can see this is where ships go back and forth.
Oh,
And
yeah,
it was and they were obviously trying to do that because of issues of commerce and such.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you go across there, you see to the right Athens,
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
and you see up there, you see Thebes, and over to the left, you see Delphi.
Mm-hmm.
So that gives you perspective on what we've been
Delphi.
talking about.
And then we have Thermopylae up here,
Yes.
just above Delphi.
Okay, what happened there?
Well, that's the battle you were talking about.
Yeah. That's up there. Well, they had a ways to go.
The Battle of Thermopylae.
You're right. Now, if you also look and go to the left, that's where I was asked. I was asked a few years back, right before COVID, about a year or so. I was asked by the Biblical Archaeological Society to lead a tour group that would take in from the bottom of Greece all the way up to the area of Thrace above,
Which is up here.
and come across through Byzantium,
Jeez.
Okay, that's up here.
which is actually a city now we call
Istanbul.
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 In the days of about the 5th century was called
Constantinople.
Constantinople, modestly named after
Constantine.
Mm-hmm.
You had 3 Constantines, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Constantine I, who acknowledged Christianity as a legal religion. And then you had another Constantine right after him, and the next one, who were also, they went back to believe in Arianism, which was rejected at
Nicaea.
Council of Nicaea. And then lastly, you have the final, Constantine, who's Constantine the Great. He's the one that actually made, at 381, they made a restatement of the Nicene Creed and acceptance. And after that, the church never went back to Arianism. So that's up there. Our tour that we just got through doing started up in Byzantium.
Oh.
And we thought about flying down to Izmir. But instead of doing that, we took a bus around that area and down to ancient Troy.
Oh, wow.
So if you go right up there from Byzantium, go out a little ways, and then you come on down. The bus came down this side of the sea, all the way to Troy,
Along the coast.
and then we kept on moving till we came down to Pergamum, and so so that was important. Then we came on down after that, down to a place called Smyrna. Go down.
Mm-hmm.
Called, what is it?
Smyrna.
Oh, Smyrna. Okay, that's here.
There's Smyrna. Then Ephesus. And so you have these places we visited recently in the last couple of weeks.
Mm.
So they're interesting places. Now, to move on into where we are now, we're going to run up now, go back across Thrace,
Okay.
go to the left still, and a little bit higher, up a little bit, up a little bit, up a little bit, up a little bit, right up in that area. We see the place of Philippi, where you had Philip of Macedon and his son.
Mm-hmm.
His son's name was
Alexander the Great.
Alexander the Great. You think when he was born, they said, "Alexander, you look great," and they
Probably.
I look marvelous.
Marvelous. Probably.
I'm just, as an archaeologist, I'm just trying to understand what is the intent.
Right. Did they name him great then or later?
Yeah, he did great. Actually, Alexander the Great was trained by Aristotle, and he was not a bad guy. He did not really go in to wipe out everybody. He actually made friendships, and he did that with Israel. And he went all the way over, basically, into what we think is to the area of India.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, he died at such an early age, but that was a problem. Okay, well, let's keep moving on. anytime you have questions, feel free to talk. Archaeology in Macedonia and Thrace. Philippi, first one. Thessaloniki. By the way, they say Thessaloniki today. We've always said Thessalonica, same place. And then Berea. So we'll look at those three.
Ooh.
I'm seeing triple. Okay.
All right. So Philippi.
Next.
Philippi.
Now, anybody tell me what is an agora?
Market.
Mm-hmm.
Marketplace.
Yes,
And you have different kinds of marketplaces.
mm-hmm. This one sells burritos, I think, or used to.
I don't know
No,
what kind of a market.
It would be like a falafel.
Oh, a flea market?
Falafel.
Oh,
Falafel.
market.
They're going to have something to eat. It'd be a falafel. Okay.
Okay, there you go.
I like
Now-
falafels.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So,
I had them in Israel. I love them.
yeah, falafels are sold throughout Greece and Turkey.
That's where they had the booths to sell fish and spices and everything.
Yeah. It's a substitute for a hot dog.
Sounds good to me.
So you'll see how big this one is, though. That's
pretty big.
Huge.
And you wonder sometimes what happens to places that they don't get to stay up. They're all falling down.
I know. Interesting.
A lot of it's not just old age; it's the fact that over periods of time they have battles and just
Earthquakes.
earthquakes can be some of it. Yes, different reasons, but they all tend to fall in by and large. There are exceptions. For example, remember Sardis?
Mm-hmm.
Much of that was intact. They had an entire archaeology crew working at Sardis, making repairs and everything to enhance the site, which was pretty cool. Now, remember at Athens, there were two kinds of agoras. What were they?
One was for political, or I guess it was political.
Like a civic center.
Yeah, something.
Yeah. One was political, Roman political,
Right.
and the other is a general marketplace for the
place.
and the Temple of Hephaestus and the Stoa were the two that were still in the marketplace of the Roman marketplace. The Hephaestus, who was a son of Zeus, remember, he was like a
blacksmith or something.
Yeah, blacksmith or something, and I think he was also injured in one leg or something.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't think of gods getting injured that way, but you know, in ancient mythology, all sorts of things are possible.
Exactly.
So you have that there. This is the example in Philippi, and it sort of gives you an idea. I took this from the mountain. I got up a ways to get this picture, but it demonstrates several things. By the way, this picture doesn't simply go back to the what was present, let's say, at the time of Paul. Over time, even it was still in operation. It was still standing, and generally speaking, there's a wonderful baptistry in there that a pastor friend of mine, when he was on the tour with me, said, "I've got to go back and build one of these at my church." The baptistry, how it was structured, was really fascinating. But so some things that were here later was also other in the period of the Byzantine period.
Cool.
This is a little different angle. You don't see as much detail, but you do get a broader view of the countryside in Philippi around the city of Philippi. And this was an important location at the time.
Oh, we just saw that one.
A little bit closer up, got to see a few new stones. Now remember Corinth. Corinth had something similar to this.
Yeah.
Also remember Sardis.
Yeah.
Sardis had something similar to this.
Yep.
All these areas in which you have isolated from each other little stores.
Right.
And
So like little, yeah, right. Little booths, yeah.
Little stalls or booths, yeah.
Somebody was selling falafels at one place, another they were tent makers and helping you build your tents.
There you go.
And all the way down the way, you had various kinds of working. The one I showed you at Corinth, I pointed to you, they found tent makers' places in one of those. That doesn't mean that's Aquila and Priscilla, but as far as Acts, the book of Acts talks about, Aquila and Priscilla were tent makers at Corinth, and Paul also took on that trade there. So it is possible.
Right. He might have hung around.
If it dates to the first century there, that it could have been a place that both, not here, but that Paul and Aquila and Priscilla operated a store just like this. You start looking down there and see all those things.
Cool.
Just another angle. Not a lot remains at Philippi, as you can see. There I am.
Wayne remained there even.
I was Baptist there in the 4th century.
Yeah.
But I'm in there to help you to explain. This is the thing I was talking about.
Oh, the baptistry.
A church building that was built. This was still existent in the 4th century.
Nice. That is a nice design.
And this baptistry really attracted my pastor friend, who is a very, very big church, the largest in the area in Salem, Oregon. And he loved this idea, because what you do is take a look to my right hand, and then just think to the opposite side of the baptistry. And you have sort of like a cross there of a sort.
Yes.
But you would actually have a person that would step down that one thing, that step into it, and then they would step out of it, because there's stairs there.
Right.
So the way you would baptize someone in this setting is different from probably what you would do in a modern setting. Matter of fact, I baptized people in the Jordan River in Israel. When I do that each time I'm in Israel, I follow a different form of baptistry than I was taught when I grew up. The baptism that we used to do, you grab the hold of the head and the back, and you push them over.
right, backwards.
Just don't hold them down. That's the
right. Too long.
You got a good grab, because if you're in a river, you got to get a really good grab.
Oh, yeah.
You grab them and you put them under, and then you bring them back up. That can be really difficult. The way it was done in the Byzantine period, and probably in the days of Jesus, one reason why they used the Jordan River, and also the mikveh at the eastern side of the Temple Mount. You did not have major baptism like you would push a guy like this and bring him over. You probably had the person basically to bend the knees to go under,
right, and
bring up, or you would have a person with the water that would be fairly high at this point. You would probably just put their head under, see, as they held their breath. We wrestle them to the ground today.
Oh yeah,
but that's not the process of the ancient world in baptism.
Got to get those sins out of there.
Yeah. Now, by the way, I should say something on that. Go back. And I say that, in fact, this is Byzantine. This is not the Roman Catholic period. The Roman Catholic Church had control of Western Europe, and the Byzantine, the Eastern. And Easter, they actually practice immersion.
Ah.
You know why? They can read Greek.
There you go. There you go.
If you read Greek, it's plain. I've got a paper I'm doing here in 2 or 3 weeks on a topic, and I'm using examples. It's amazing how people will take Greek words and create English words and lose the Greek meaning.
Amazing.
Because they will invest it with other theological meaning that the Greeks would have never thought about.
Right.
That happens and confuses theology because people do things that way. And there's good examples. I know the head, I won't mention names because you know the name probably. But there's a well-known person who is the head of a major Bible translation committee. I was on his back. He's a friend of mine. I was on his back for about 3 or 4 years to change the meaning of what they transliterated in Galatians chapter 1. And so they kept translating the idea of if you don't follow his teaching, that you're going to be anathematized. And they would translate that word, the Greek anathema. They would translate that as something like burn in hell or go to hell or be tortured in hell or some kind of thing that had to do with hell. And I said to him, that is absolutely a misunderstood translation of the passage. The word anathema does not mean to go to hell. It says, if you don't follow this, you'll be cursed. But see, curse in the Greek world and in the Jewish and even the Israelite community in which that concept developed, they were not really talking about hell. They're talking about not receiving the favor of God. If you were blessed, God kept the locusts away. He kept the rain coming. He had all sorts of wonderful things. Blessings. If you curse, you're going to have every kind of problem you can imagine.
Right.
Eat your crops, and so curse and blessing. You have to get into the text of the language and not bring all this super theology stuff sometimes that people bring into the text. So, having said that, so you think of the word baptizo. It means to immerse.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
Right.
So there's the issue. If you take the word baptizo as an example, how will you baptize someone? You're going to baptize a person by sprinkling, pouring, or immersion.
I'll just throw water in their face.
You're mixing terms there. Baptism is by immersion. That is it.
Yes.
Amen. That's the whole point. You read the Greek says it's immersion. But you go, well, what I was baptized by sprinkling. Well, no, you weren't. You were sprinkled.
You weren't immersed by sprinkling.
Yeah.
Right. You have to do a lot of sprinkling.
Well, you have to have maybe you use that underneath a waterfall. I don't know.
I don't know.
But people follow sometimes bad ideas because they don't think carefully through a text. I should tell you, my friend, in that Galatians passage, he finally came to me after 3 years at an academic meeting I was at, and he said, "Wayne, we changed the translation." I said, "Well, good, you got it right."
Finally.
Okay, Dr. House, we are running at about 9:10 right now.
Oh my goodness, we're just getting going.
We go for another hour.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed some of these things I've been working through and showing you.
Yeah.
And we will continue on and finish the area through Thrace. But then what I'm going to do when we finish Thrace, just to let you know, I'd like you to take you to some slides we have and take you into Jordan. Not to Israel, because very few people are familiar with Jordan. So we're going to go through and work through helping you through some theology and teachings by actually paying attention to the sites in Jordan that people got mixed up when they started translating the Bible. back third and fourth centuries.
Cool. Looking forward to it.
It's good to be with you.
Yeah, welcome back.
Yeah.
All right.